So you guys are in for a treat, man. You got it. We have an amazing mentor and veteran who's coming on now. This is Sullivan from Team RWB. He runs this amazing organization. Um, After having spent 30 years in the Army and Special Forces, he came on to be the executive director at Team RWB, and I've been involved with them for my local chapter here for a while, and they just do just such incredible work for the military community. They have I think about a quarter of a million members all around the world, and he's going to tell us all about this great group and what they do. But Sully, thank you so much for joining us and for spending time with all of our service members and vets, man. We appreciate it.
All right, see if I can find the mute button. Absolutely.
There
Yeah.
you go, man. So Matt Morin from our team wanted to MC the session, so I'm going to introduce Matt as well, and he's going to take over from here, and then you guys can chat a little bit, and then we can field questions from the crew.
How you doing, Sully? Matt here. Yeah, let's kick things off with just can you tell us a little bit about your military background? What led you to join the Army, go to path of the Green Berets? Highly interested in hearing about that, and just yeah, a little bit of overview on your background.
Sure, absolutely. So it's awesome to be here, and this is just an awesome opportunity to interact with all of you and to be a part of this great organization that's helping you guys with your transition and everything. So Mike Sullivan, I go by Sully at Team RWB. Um, Most of my life I went by Sully, but so I joined the Army as an ROTC guy. But as you can see from like these black and white photos behind me, that one right there is my dad in Vietnam. The two guys on either side of him are his fathers because his biological father was killed in World War II. His other dad, that his adopted father, served in World War II. On this other side is my mom's dad, who served in the Navy. He was actually at Annapolis in that photo, but decided to leave because he wanted to get to the war a little bit faster and enlisted in the Navy. And then his father is right there from World War One. So we had this history of service in my family. Nobody had made it a career, but it was something that was always around me growing up. Played a lot of team sports, was very active. Went to college at Claremont McKenna College, that pennant behind me. And I actually decided 2 years into it, there was an opportunity to go to basic training and do ROTC. I don't know if they still do that, but back in my day, they did. And I decided, I think this is what I need to do, at least to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. The military would be good for me. I've always wanted to serve, follow my dad's footsteps. He did a similar thing at Gonzaga University and then served in Vietnam. And I decided to go for it. So made it out of college, started out as a field artillery officer, and very quickly fell in love with the service and everything that it was about. Married right out of college as well, and had kind of the instant family. And it, I always thought I would do what my dad did, do 4 years, my time would be up, and I'd go to law school and maybe then do something like that. But just absolutely fell in love with the Army and decided, to take the next step, as a captain and go to selection to become a special forces officer. Did that in 2000. Was picking up my books to language school on 9/11. Nearly 25 years ago, and what I thought was going to be my career as a special forces officer deploying to Africa with their group quickly changed. And I ended up going to Afghanistan 6 times in different capacities, from captain to the rank of lieutenant colonel as a battalion commander in 3rd Special Forces Group. From there, I was fortunate enough to get promoted to colonel, served for a year in a special operations command position in the country of Lebanon. That was phenomenal. And then when I got back from that, worked for SF Command, was getting ready to retire, and the Army offered me another command as a Security Force Assistance Brigade commander. Mine has been shut down, 2nd Brigade, but that was another awesome experience in the Army of commanding small teams that were going all over the continent of Africa. So that was kind of like my last big thing before they made me the Chief of Staff at the Special Warfare Center in school as my last gig before I got out at the Army at that 30-year mark. My time absolutely blew by. My family and I would say we absolutely loved every minute of what we had in the Army. The two youngest we have, the twins, Jackson and Samantha, loved it so much they decided that they would do the same thing. So they both went to West Point, graduated in 2020. My son Jackson's a captain in the infantry. He just got to 3rd Brigade, 25th ID. He's in the Philippines for the next 90 days, doing what they do out in the Pacific, doing some training. And then his twin sister Samantha is an engineer officer. Uh, she has a little different path. She's in the Army's world class athlete program because she plays for Team USA women's sevens rugby. So she's an Olympic rugby player, won a bronze medal at the Paris Olympics. Went Army made her go do her engineer captain's career course. She just got done with that in December, and she's back playing international rugby, representing the Army internationally. So a different way to serve. But it's awesome to see a fifth generation of our family members doing what all these guys did, and carrying that tradition forward. So um, that's kind of my career in a nutshell. There's a lot to unpack there and things we can talk about in terms of my experiences. Really, I commanded at every level from captain to colonel, and just absolutely loved every minute of it. I mean, it flew by, and I found myself with a very blessed career. Now, after 30 years in the Army, and that being what you know, it was a little bit of like, okay, what am I doing next? Fortunately for me, I obviously had a passion for service. I wanted to continue to do that. And a friend of mine, 15 years ago, Mike Irwin, started Team Red, White, and Blue. He was the intel officer when I was a company commander in 3rd Special Forces Group. That's the guidon up there behind me. And we became very close friends. And he had me help kind of start things out. I was the original chapter captain before we called it that, in Fayetteville and Fort Bragg back in 2011. And I've always been a member and always saw the power of being part of an organization that was going to be there for me with a tribe, a community, and keep me going in terms of my fitness and wellness once I transitioned out of the service. Um, I didn't realize that was going to be my next career until Mike started talking to me almost 2 years out from retirement in terms of kind of planting the seed and then kind of talking to me about, hey, I really think you would be a great addition, if not the next executive director for Team RWB. Um, and we can talk about that, but it was a very deliberate transition plan that Mike put into place to give me an opportunity using the Career Skills Bridge program, as a colonel to see if that's where, my passion might be. Get to see the organization, a very small one, only about 30 paid employees, full-time employees. Everybody else is like volunteer leaders that make it happen at Team RWB across the nation. And um, once I got through that piece, I was like, I think we should continue down this path. So I then became the chief of staff for a year. They gave an opportunity for the staff to get to know me, for the board to kind of see me and what I could do in that capacity. And then there was a deliberate decision then to pick me as his successor. And we took another year of Mike continuing to work up and out as I worked down and in as the incoming executive director. So it was a very deliberate process over the last 2.5 years that kind of got me here today as the guy running the show at Team RWB. But so that's 30 years in the Army, and like the last 2 years at lightning speed.
Wow, amazing journey. Thank you for sharing that. First, I'm gonna drop your LinkedIn in the chat. Everyone, please go connect with Sully on there. I'll also drop the link to Team Red, White, and Blue for everyone to check out. Also, if you have any questions, please just raise your hand and I'll call on you. We do have a question from William Hall. William, go ahead.
All right. First off, I'm from the Red Empire, so the real SF. But before you guys kicked us out of Bragg, uh, anyways, I think that's great, and I'm just kind of looking at your organization right now. I was going to ask you because I have a friend down in the Tampa area because they do a lot of the spinal cord work. Romy Camargo, do you guys ever talk to them, the Stay in Step guys?
I haven't
For the
specifically.
Okay. You mind if I like connected you guys
No,
to
absolutely.
see how you can aid each other on things?
No, absolutely. Again, being a fellow Green Beret coming into this job, what I realized in the nonprofit world is like your connections and working kind of by through with the people that have a separate mission and do it better than you do is how you can get things done. Um, so, having those additional like links for our membership, which is nationwide, when they have an issue that a 5K is not going to solve, or a community workout's not going to solve, or a fitness challenge online through our app's not going to solve, that's where we are working to build direct, what we're calling Eagle Alliance pipelines that can link people up to these amazing networks of folks that are taking care of veterans, their families, that are well beyond what our community can do for them. So yeah, please hook me up.
Right on. Thanks, man.
Thanks for your question, William. Sully, so what skills or traits do you think were absolutely critical to your success when you were in special forces, and how did your military experience shape the way you approach leadership today?
No, I appreciate that. I think for me specifically, having grown up playing team sports
Mm.
and being driven by, I had a really solid family unit growing up. My parents, very much, were a big part of giving us the drive to like try to succeed at everything that we did. And it always like never leave it all out there on the field. So going into that kind of environment, it was knowing that one, um, you're working in a team environment, so you got to be a team member first, even when you're expected to be a leader, based on your position. But also, you got to understand, like, the best ways to approach things, smarter, not harder, is probably what's going to get things done. So I've embraced that, ever since really my entire career, but it really helped me throughout the special operations community because you find yourself surrounded with some of the most intelligent, type A motivated folks in the world. And if you can't figure out that, like, there's going to be a time and place where, in most times in place, especially as an officer, you're relying on some folks that have some expertise to get things done. Um, that's you got to really lean into that. I lean into that idea of just like, you got to understand your role when it's your time to like step into it, and then how you manage that, being a team leader or in a team environment. Um, I not writing a book, but if I ever did, I would say that that's kind of like the key to life. The way I see it is, right? You're born into your first team, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
You got drafted into that team, and you got to survive it. You may be fortunate, like I did, and had an amazing couple coaches and team, members that got you through the first part of life. And then you got to get to choose your team going forward. And it's just understanding what you can bring to that environment, and then bring in your all the time. And that I've carried that forward. I've gotten better, I think, with age to understand like where my weaknesses are, how to embrace humility a little bit more than I did as a younger, hard charging guy. And some hard lessons learned got me to a point that understanding that, in the environment I find myself now, while I may think it's a great idea, like again, you got to work through those people that have the expertise to really get things done. And then finally, it's just like finding that thing that you have a passion for. I mean, I absolutely love challenging myself throughout my life, and that was it with Special Forces when I decided to do that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that every day now in the nonprofit space. It's definitely not, the paycheck that's like getting me by every single day. That's not why you go into a nonprofit kind of organization, but finding that thing that you're passionate about, that's going to drive you kind of forward each day. Some days it's work and it's a grind. It's not always like fun and fulfilling, but for the most part, if you see that as what you're doing, I think that's going to bring you success.
Awesome insight. Thank you for sharing that. We have another question from Rebecca. Rebecca, fire away.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Um, it's crazy that you're even here because I'm moving to Washington State um, in the upcoming months, and I was scoping out the area to find companies or things that I can volunteer with. And it was funny how Matt put your website on there. And I was like, wait a minute, this looks familiar. So then I was scoping, I was like, this was one of the companies I was looking to like volunteer. So it's just kind of small. It's crazy how like it's like a small community in a big world. So I didn't really have any questions, but since I was already planning on volunteering in one of your events when I move out to Washington, um, does opportunity come with like once volunteering and maybe finding a role with RWB to like be a little bit more active than just volunteering?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I really appreciate that question. So RWB is unique. I mean, in terms of a lot of people look at us and they see that, oh, this is a great organization that's taking care of veterans. And I always push back against that. I say we're a great organization that enables veterans to take care of themselves and the people around them, right? And the way we do that is through physical fitness events, for the most part, right? And sometimes we do some other stuff in the you know our communities. But ideally, it's these micro communities that are bringing people together through a common purpose. That understanding of what you had in the service gives you that sense of purpose when you're volunteering. And for us, like as crazy as this sounds, but RWB, it's a little bit a funner environment to volunteer at because the way I see it, you showing up for a 5K walk on a Wednesday afternoon, and it's going to take you 45 minutes to do that, and you're going to be hanging out with somebody else that's just looking to connect with somebody. That is a volunteer opportunity the way we see it, because we see community as the lifeblood of what like drives you forward. You know, you guys are experiencing it or you already experienced it, right? You get out of the service and it's like ripping that band-aid off of what was your life. Those teammates to your left and right, that sense of purpose you got every day from those in charge, or just how you felt about being what you did in the service. And then, quite frankly, whether we liked it or not, doing a little bit of physical activity every single day is probably what you need in your life. So we've taken that idea, tried to make it a little bit funner than 6:30 face right and go for a forced march or run, but getting together is truly an opportunity to serve this community, and just showing up and putting in the time. It's great for you because you're getting that movement for yourself, but like that sense of purpose and belonging, really that belonging and meaningful relationships is key. With Team RWB, we encourage all you guys, like everybody should sign up. Like go to the website, join now. It's 100% free. We're a community that's made up of not just veterans, but active duty, guard, reserve, and our civilian supporters. 20% of our population is civilians, and only half of that is civilian family members, like spouses and kids. It's the other 10% are civilians that you find in that area that just kind of want to be a part of the cool thing we got going on, which is awesome because it can give you an opportunity when you go to some of these RWV events to interact with some folks in your new community that maybe don't have that same life experience that you guys had in the service. And you'll find those folks that understand the weird acronyms that you guys speak in and everything else, even if they're Navy in your Army or vice versa. But I would encourage you to join as a member once you get out to Washington State, and then look at our programming in terms of what you can do to become an Eagle leader if that's what you want to do. Get more involved in your chapter. Maybe you're starting a chapter because we don't have a chapter there, and you just kind of take it from there. But it's an excellent organization that's going to kind of empower you, give you resources to do a lot of the fun things you want to do, to keep yourself active and well.
That is awesome. Thank you. It definitely gives me much more something to look forward to and definitely looking for a community once I move out there. So again, like it's just like a small world how it's crazy how it's coming together. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You got to thank
Awesome.
Jordy. He's the guy bringing me in to expose you guys to our community.
Thank you, Jordy. Thank you.
Awesome question, Rebecca. Thank you. Jordy, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks, Matt. I would love it because I was looking at the chat. I know a bunch of you guys have already been to Team RWB events or participated. I saw Carlos and Kareen. I'd love to hear from you guys. What was your experience at them? And I just know, I'll tell you what I love about it so much because I each chapter does different stuff. They bike, they run, they go on hikes. Sometimes it's physical stuff, sometimes anyone can go. It's social. And I love that they mix in the civilians. It always made me feel welcome because I didn't serve to go to these events. And for you guys who are looking for jobs, which I think is all of you, there is no better way to network than to be around people in your local community, and they want to help you. They want to help you succeed and do well. And it's just a great way to make new friends and to expand, the people in your orbit there. Um, So I encourage every one of you, I think Matt put the link in there. Go join their org. It's free. They got those amazing shirts you can get. And yeah, it's a super cool group. It's so casual and low stress and just a lot of fun. And I think every one of you will get enormous value out of the organization. So anyway, I just wanted to share that quickly.
Yeah, I just dropped the link again. Please go check it out. Please jump on their email list. So Sully, 99% of us are transition invest anywhere from 3 to 6 months out before we're
Yep.
separated or retired. Can we just go back and just talk about your transition out real quick? What was it, smooth, challenging for you, somewhere in between? What was the biggest like mental shift, leaving the military into civilian world? Anything surprise you, and would you have done anything different knowing what you know now?
That's a great question. And it might be a bit of a cop out, but I always say kind of hit an easy button when it came to my transition. One, and I'm starting to realize this a lot more now. If you would have asked me that 2 years ago, I would have been, oh, it was easy. I was part of RWB and Mike Irwin was my friend, and it all just kind of worked out great. Um, what I'm starting to realize now, and it's unfortunate, like as the new executive director, I'm realizing like RWB needs to get back kind of into that active duty community because you guys taking this opportunity even right now to understand these other opportunities of where you're going to be next in your life and having some potential meaningful connections that are going to help you with that, I think are critical. I mean, that's really what RWB did for me, and I knew it was going to do that because I was for 14 years, well, 12 years of my last 12 years of active duty, you know, I knew RWB was there for me because I was a part of it. Um, and there's several other organizations out there. To Jordy's point, like we're not the only one, but there's other opportunities for you to like get to know veterans, whether it's Travis Manion or Wear Blue Run to Remember, or opportunities to volunteer with the Wounded Warrior Project, American Legion, VFW. So there's tons of local veteran organizations that are going to provide you an opportunity to find people that are your people, right? So, having that tribe as a part of this transition process was critical for me. Um, it was easy because I was a part of RWB to begin with, and I love physical fitness events, right? I love running. So this idea of being a part of this physical fitness, health and wellness community that focused on holistic health and wellness, like I was like, I'm in. Um, so it really, I would say like one, that was awesome. I mean, two, I like a lot of you, I was like, man, I don't know, like, what am I going to do? I was like, well, I could go, I had some friends that were doing consulting. Maybe I go to business school, even I can go back to school. Maybe I still go be a lawyer. And stepping back from that from a moment and taking an opportunity that came to me, and some of you guys will get these and say, no, I'll see if I can figure this out. I mean, I'm sure some of you, if you're not already using the Career Skills Bridge program, like that was phenomenal for me. Even, I may have got into not an argument, but a discussion with a general officer who was like, hey, as a colonel, don't you think that's more for like privates and folks that need more help when I was like, the guy who spent 30 years in the army and that's all I know, like I need this. I need an opportunity to go try by and decide, see what's going on out there beside, this with the green uniform on. So using those opportunities to kind of, do that really worked for me. I know that's not going to work for everybody. Some people have families and they need that paycheck right away, you know, but understanding that maybe that's not your forever thing is also okay, right? Um, and I think that was a mentality I also had that luckily Mike built into it in terms of that transition we talked about to give me some off ramps because again, a lot of folks aren't going to find their passion project right out of they get out of the service. Or maybe they do need to build some expertise and some more experience doing something else before they move on to that thing they're really shooting for. So again, it's just, understanding that like if you lean on those ideas, you lean on that understanding that like the military probably gave me some tools to understand processes to get myself to where I need to be in life, like they did with a mission, like they did with my education, my training. That doesn't stop. Like that literally does not stop. Like you guys are by far heads and tails ahead of your civilian peers because you have that exposure to understanding a process to get you to where you need to be. Um, so, I mean, again, for me personally, I don't think I would do anything different, right? It seems to be working out pretty well. Um, I may at times, you do have to work on boundaries and like applying yourself exactly the same way. I'm not saying you work harder or not as hard, but again, there is opportunities for you to like probably expand your universe beyond just the job, because the military is everything kind of. Um, so I struggle with that at times, because I see myself pouring myself into RWB like I did the military. Not a bad thing. It's a great thing to do, but at the same time, it's like I might be, giving up on this thing I could be doing with my family or my wife. Now that there should be some more time with us. Um, so the work-life balance, to continue to work on that, I would say is like one of my lessons learned. Um, and again, be willing to commit to like knowing and getting to know some people in person because I think that's really going to be critical to your long-term, not only professional health, but like personal health as you continue on with this journey.
Awesome insight. Thank you, Sully. Um, let's take a deep dive into Team Red, White, and Blue. What does your role look like there day to day? What's the best way for the vets to get involved in? And just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so for me, it's I got, I'm the executive director, the CEO of the entire organization. And on paper, and you look at our website, you're like, man, that's a big organization. We're over the years, 350,000 people have signed up, have given us their email address, have been involved at some time doing something with Team RWB. Actively, annually, it's about 30,000 members that are engaging each and every week, month, whether that's online via our application or going to those chapter events that I talked about that are nationwide. We have 150 chapters nationwide right now. Um, you know, Basically, I think if you find a large group of vets, we're probably there. We're in all the larger states where most of you guys will probably end up going next, or if you're not already there. And so relatively close to a chapter, but chapters aren't always exactly where you want to be. I now live in southern South Carolina. I'm about 45 minutes away from Savannah, Georgia, where's the closest chapter. So I'm slowly building myself, like meeting vets in my new community, trying to pull people in and seeing if we can't get something going locally. Um, but the opportunity is there also to engage in our community because we do have a very effective application that allows you to do virtual training. There's activity groups for just about any kind of health and wellness activity that you might be into. If you're into cycling, there's a cycling group. Running group, you're in the running group. Functional fitness, CrossFit, there's a CrossFit group. If you're into Spartan races and obstacle course racing, there's a group for that. And then we have some good partnerships where there's opportunities for, for veterans to get like free bids to Spartan races and things like that. So there's definitely things going on to keep you kind of like, hey, I think I want to try that. That's going to keep me moving. Because having that accountability, a teammate that's going to keep you going, you know, setting a big fitness goal every year. Those are the kind of things RWB wants you to do, and we're going to help you with. And if it's not through a chapter, we're going to help you online via the application. So again, I would just say everybody here, like it's free. Try it out. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But I would say encourage you to try to find a community that is. Um, for me, day to day, it's we are a fully remote organization. So I live again in southern South Carolina now, and we, like any organization, I have 2 or 3 meetings a day. We have our normal kind of rhythm to events between operational meetings, development meetings, and I find myself spending most of my days 9 to 5 right here in front of this computer interacting with folks, whether they're in RWB or folks that are kind of in our sphere of influence, or those folks that we're trying to pull into the sphere of influence. As an executive director of a nonprofit, I would say about 75% of my work is tied towards like development goals, right? So it costs Team RWB. You can Google it online. You can see our financials about $6.5 million a year to execute our programming. And, that takes a lot of groundwork between myself and a very small development team to get out there, find, grants, find corporate sponsors, individual giving, so we can do the things we do for free for the people in our membership. Get you your free red t-shirt, So those things, are a big part when you get into the nonprofit space, especially as a senior leader. Like, you're going to be doing some development work. For me, it was hard. That was a hard thing in terms of the transition because being very successful in my military career, I'm about, maybe 20 to 25% of the time I'm getting a yes on, when it's coming to raising money. And you're like, this is so easy. Like, who would not want to give money to this great organization? And there's so many great organizations out there. And it's not that it's a competition, but again, you gotta show your value and what you're doing. Um, so that's a lot of what I do. I travel about 30% of the year to different things, whether it's for fundraising, um, events with membership, just to be out there as a leader, showing them that I'm a part of what they're doing because you're a team member first at Team RWB. And a lot of it actually for me, it's awesome because it's forcing me to stay fit. I make sure I hit the gym every day. I have a local run club I'm a part of. So all of that is part of what I'm doing each and every day to kind of live the mission as well. So it's a routine job. My
Yeah.
wife will say I'm working harder now than I did in the military. I disagree, but I would say I'm smiling a lot more because I really enjoy what I do and the people we're working with. Um, like I said, we're about 30 full-time employees. We have another 10 part-time employees in some of our key states as state coordinators. And as a nonprofit of our size and the way we're set up with using volunteer leaders to do a lot of our programming, we probably won't grow much further beyond that. We could use a few more folks here and there, but it's kind of the key to our structure, especially as a remote organization. Staying kind of light and nimble as a paid staff allows us to like really focus a lot on the programming and making
Yeah.
sure our volunteers have what they need.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Are there currently opportunities available for vets to come on board, like to be hired, or is it all volunteer right now remotely? Um,
Well, yeah, so it's a great question. So I think we're very fortunate. We have a really solid team, right? The, uh, the team on the bus are all in the right seats, and it's going really well right now. But we have, like anything, you identify some critical gaps. I think on our development side, that's something that our revenue getting into fundraising, that's
okay.
something that we've prioritized. And I think in the coming months, we'll probably be looking to hire a few more people there. Um, we have our own in-house marketing team that does phenomenal work as well. And it always seems like, despite AI, despite the advantages of social media and the like marketing in today's environment is much more difficult than it used to be. And just, and not being a behemoth where I can just buy ads on Fox News and CNN to run all day long. Um, it becomes a little bit more of a challenge. So like our marketing team is something that we're always kind of like playing with to make sure we have the right specialists and people that can do some phenomenal stuff for us. As a smaller group. And then our largest team is our operations team. We do have a two-person tech team that helps run our application and our in-house stuff, but we contract through a tech organization out on the West Coast that really is the people behind building our application. Um, but it's interesting, even as small as we are, we do have these kind of like different departments that are all kind of pulling together to make it all happen.
Okay, awesome. I just dropped 3 links. The one was to join, the other one was a volunteer link, and then the last one was find your chapter. So please check them out. Get involved. This interests you. Looks like we got one more question here. Jordy, fire away.
Yeah, thank you, man. I want to share. Can I, Sully, would it be all right if I share your or show the quick promo video now to the crew?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that all right? I think they'll like it. It'll just it's always easier with visuals, I think. Here, this is let's play this.
The story doesn't end with service. This is just the beginning. Service made us stronger, resilient, driven, built to lead. And that doesn't end when the uniform comes off. Team Red, White, and Blue is forging America's leading health and wellness community for veterans. Across the nation and overseas, 18,000 events each year bring veterans, service members, military families, and supporters together in motion. And it works. 60% of active members improve their well-being year over year at just $230 per veteran annually. This is support that starts upstream, before crisis, before intervention, before a clinic is ever needed. The best is yet to come, because this mission doesn't stop moving. This is Team Red, White, and Blue. Join us.
Hold on. I found one other video. Sammy's your daughter, right? Is that her?
Sorry, yes, Sammy is my daughter.
Can I play? You mind if I show everyone? You must be so proud of her. Olympic team.
Why is Sammy
I am
Sullivan
very
on
proud.
the USA Olympic team? Well, it's not just about her being fast. You have to be fast, you have to be physical, but you also have to be smart, physically smart, mentally smart. Take this breakaway try that she scored in the PR7s. Yeah, she's quick, but it's all about that pass and how she handles it. Take a look again. This pass is well in front of her, and most players will reach out generally with their outside hand, their left hand, to try and catch it, and that's going to be a knock-on. Instead, Sullivan, smart enough to accelerate, speed up her run so that ball lands carefully in her arms. She doesn't knock it on. Take a look at another very smart play. Here the team is attacking, and Sullivan makes that tackle, big physical tackle, and then grabs her opposite number, Erica Legaspi, and brings her back on the steel toes side. What does that do? That allows for a potential poach, and in fact draws a penalty. And finally, once again, Sullivan versus a very smart player in her own right, Erica Legaspi. A kick over the top, and Sullivan waits and waits to pick that up, and then just goes to deck just as she's about to hit. She draws a penalty because of that. Her confidence in contact, as well as her understanding of the laws, turns what could be a very difficult situation into a positive for her team. That's why Sammy Sullivan is an Eagle and why she's an Olympian.
That's good stuff, man. What was your sport in college? You said you played sports growing up.
I did. Yeah, so I actually, well, I played
Oh,
Division three. You got me? Division three college football, and then I played rugby my junior and senior year
so
of
she
college
got
as
that
well.
from you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so if you listen to her story, I mean, you can follow her on Instagram is where you can find most of her stuff. She was a great soccer player. She went to West Point. They weren't taking walk-ons, so she walked onto the rugby team, having never played rugby
Oh my
before.
gosh. That's
That turned
awesome.
into her being like they call it the Bruce Meck Award, like the Heisman Trophy winner her junior year.
Good for her, man.
Played in the Olympics. She's very fired up. She loves the military. You'll see in interviews and stuff. She's like, if I had to choose between my platoon, because she was a platoon leader before she went to play for Team USA, or my Olympic rugby team, she goes, I don't know who I would pick. And I actually believe her when she says that. She absolutely loved being a platoon leader.
Yeah.
So it's fun to watch her progress and have success that way. But
Good stuff, man.
yeah.
Sully, thank you again, man. This
Yeah.
was awesome. Appreciate you so much. Matt, thank you for emceeing. You did a great job. And everyone, please go check out Team RWB. Sign up. I highly recommend them. And we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, brother.